Welcome to Learning and Teaching Systemic Therapy Podcast, the official Society for the Teaching of Marriage and Family Therapy, STMFT in short podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Sofia Georgiadou. I created STMFT in this podcast as an antidote to the isolation I experienced as an early career academic. I also created STMFT in this podcast as a space to allow myself and my colleagues to share resources and bridge the way we do systemic therapy with the way we teach systemic therapy in our classrooms. Today's episode is super exciting for many reasons. I am honored to welcome Dr. Tequilla Hill. Dr. Hill is a true leader and innovator and the intersection of systemic therapy, somatic practice, and creative healing. She's a licensed systemic psychotherapist, seasoned somatic educator, healing artist, and mindful entrepreneur with over 20 years of experience in wellness and behavioral health. Grounded in systemic psychotherapy and somatic practices, she integrates talk therapy, meditation, breath work, and somatic movement to support emotional healing, nervous system regulation, and relational restoration. As a healing artist, Dr. Hill incorporates expressive arts, somatic movement, visual art, and writing into her clinical and educational work to deepen emotional expression and support embodied transformation. She's proud to come from a family of artists and creatives and feels honored to carry that legacy forward by weaving these elements into her therapeutic and teaching practice. Rooted in compassion and presence, Dr. Hill walks alongside therapists and wellness seekers alike, guiding them towards practices that nurture sustainable self care, emotional healing, and a grounded sense of well being. She consults, she teaches, and she leads with intention, offering experiences that restore clarity and vitality. Her passion for well being, movement, and emotional wellness also led her to center her doctoral dissertation on therapist self care, a topic she continues to champion in her work today. She holds a PhD and a master's in marriage and family therapy from Nova Southeastern University, a BA in psychology from Florida Atlantic University, and an associate's degree in liberal arts from Broward College. She's a therapist, wellness consultant, and mindfulness facilitator known for her integrative and compassionate approach. Welcome, Dr. Hill.
Thank you, Dr. Sophia. It's so good to be here.
I'm so grateful to have you with us today. In this episode, we will explore Tequila's experiences with self care, sustainable practice, and the power of creative and embodied healing for both therapists and the families we serve. And thank you for joining us today, Tequila. So, without further ado, let's dive into our first question. I am fascinated by your journey from being in community mental health, experiencing that burnout, to becoming a leader in integrative MFT training. Tell me more about your personal discovery of yoga, meditation, breath work, and how they transformed your own practice.
Oh goodness. As I roll through the memories of my mind, I'm like, what version of this story should we give? The part when I get all beat up and bloody to the part that transition and become like a phoenix. I'm gonna take you in scene. So I'm at this community mental health center in South Florida. And Dr. Sophia, I loved the work. I felt so connected to my clients. I'm with all kinds of incomes. I'm loving it. I'm living it. And I had to do therapy under really, really harsh conditions, not comfortable conditions,
Yeah.
definitely not private practice conditions, but with people in society that often don't want. Typically, we'll have a team of people, typically on Medicaid, Medicare, and I'm in the homes. And I felt that going into people's homes is sacred. So I'm like, I get to go into people's homes or trailer parks or
Mhm.
Section 8 housing or mansions. It didn't matter for me. I got to do what I went to school to do. And I loved it. And I had a caseload of 50.
Wow.
And I was young and I
Mhm.
thought maybe if I just had more coffee or if I ate more gummy bears,
Yeah.
had
If I
more
just hustle
fuel.
a little harder.
Right.
Yeah.
I just thought
Oh,
it
yeah.
was something wrong with me that I wasn't a
Mm.
machine. And I remember one day, grateful, always very, very grateful. I'm in the cubby hole writing my notes because that's what we did back in the day, Dr. Sophia. We wrote our notes and then you whited it out and you initialed it because that was back in the day. And I had a senior therapist say, "You look like you're burnt out." And I, first of all, was offended. Like, you're trying to say I didn't look good? She's like, "No,
Yeah.
Tequila, you look like you need to go to sleep." I'm like, "Sleep? I need
Oh.
to sleep? I have to see my clients, trying to save them." At that time, I had really bad eczema. My hair was very, very thin. I actually physically was breaking down, but because I
Mm,
love the work so much, I just bypassed myself because I have this really strange like power that I can push my body with my mind. And because I was
mm,
so committed to the work, I was ignoring my body yelling at me. My body whispered, but I ignored her. But
mm.
the final yell was when I actually had a heart attack in the middle of graduate school from like a congenital heart issue, also mixed with not resting. It was at that time that I changed my
Wow.
dissertation to therapist wellness and self care versus burnout. Because I'm like, I don't really want to invite burnout. I want to invite self care, wellness, and vitality. So why don't I just write about that? Because if I write about that, it takes care of burnout. Just like if I focus on wellness, it takes care of me thinking about sickness. So why don't I just do that? So that
Yeah.
actually changed. So when I was in like the hospital about to prepare for the ablation being done to my heart and them telling me no more no dose, no more Red Bulls, no more 5 hour energies anymore. You have to just drink
Mm.
coffee maybe once a day. I was rewriting my dissertation in the book
Wow. Wow.
in the bed. So that was very like transformative for me to write a love note to myself to say I will not dishonor you to be successful.
Mm.
I will make sure that everything I do is out of wholeness and balance. That was like a love note and reaffirmation to myself then, and I haven't looked back since then. And I think I was about 27 at that time. Yeah.
Wow. My gosh. Okay. This is so powerful what you just shared with me. From that space, then, how do you go into the education, higher education space? How do you infuse everything you're doing as your daily practice of care for self? How do you go from that to like, this is my own thing, I'm doing this for me, to I'm doing this for my students, I'm doing this for my clients? Tell me about it.
So the therapeutic practices that inform my work are Bowen, Satir, and also solution focused therapy. So I'm going to start with the self of the therapist. So, with the therapist standpoint, I need to show up in the thing that I want when they say be the change, right? So when I'm doing my morning rituals or my day rituals, or I'm fueling my body and I'm doing all the things so that I stay sane and I stay open and I stay clear, I'm automatically being ethical, right? So I'm coming into my workday, whether I'm managing healing, managing others,
Yeah.
teaching others healing, supervising healing, direct. I do one thing all day, Sophia. I just do it in different ways. Okay. Some people call it therapy. I call it healing, depending on who you ask. So for me to step into that arena, I need to be fueled up. Okay. So I know what I need to be fueled up, just like your body knows what she needs. Okay. So every
Mhm,
day before I step into the arena and I put all my hats on, I have to make sure that I have what I need because I want to lead from nourishment. I want to teach from nourishment and I want to teach from my high whole self. So, first and foremost, I lead by example. If I'm broke down and burnt out, you're not going to listen to me. Also, how am I going to inspire you? You pity me if I'm looking like that. Oh my God, poor Dr. Hill. Like she needs to sleep. No, as a leader, as an embodied leader, I need to practice what I preach and I need to lead from clarity because Bowen talks about differentiation of self. So it's a daily practice, it's a commitment so that my work stays pure. So whatever happens outside of me, I have more life energy to buffer it. So I'm teaching and I'm supervising from that space. I'm managing, I'm leading from that space.
I love it. I love the leading by example and like being ethical in the way you do it. I realize this is going to be different for everybody, but I am wondering, would you mind sharing some of the practices that keep you centered, fueled, nourished as an educator?
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting. When one of my professors talked about, and this is a professor that had multiple credentials and then became an MFT, she said she realized because she had multiple lenses, the therapeutic practices or the models that you practice actually inform how you manage care, of course, and then also your well being as a clinician. And she was
Mm,
saying that she herself was also at a community based agency and she found the systemic models refreshing, invigorating.
mm,
She went back to school after having already having a license and actually getting her PhD in MFT because of it. And it revitalized her. And that's one of the things I love about the systemic practices because I am still a clinician. Part of my self care is how I approach my therapy. How I approach my therapy is that I kind of blend I've been Bowen, I've been Somatics, I've been solution focused. I also been Satir in my work. Each of these models offered something essential to me from language, systems, and soul. Together, they became the foundation of like how I understood manifesting change, regulating the nervous system, and integrating meditation and mindfulness into transformative therapy. When I practice, that's how I'm practicing. So when I leave my sessions, I'm actually quite nourished and inspired. Okay. So that's one practical thing I do. Another practical thing I do is I drink water.
Mm,
Invest in good water, therapists. Get good water. Drink your water. Okay. Seriously, Sophia, simple things. Drink your water, rest. Sleep hygiene is a thing. We all on these fancy iWatches and whatever Fitbits we're in. Set your sleep. You want to watch that because guess what? Your body can't do what you need it to do if they doesn't have its proper nutrients.
mm,
Sleeping, drinking water. Also, listen, I'm not food shaming anybody. I love sweets like the next person, but my body doesn't run the same if I'm not putting high vibrational foods in it, which also affects cognition. What I
yeah.
eat affects my energy level. It also affects my creativity because if I've had too much caffeine or too much sugar, I'm not creative. I'm irritable. I'm human.
Mm,
Doing purpose work, still human, right? So I
yeah.
realize when I eat certain things or I rest a certain way or I don't, it impacts how I show up in that arena. And I want to show up in wholeness. Therefore, those are the practical things I do. And
Mhm,
also time for rest. In between my meetings, I have dance breaks, I have meditation breaks, I have prayer breaks. I attend to my altar. I'm stretching my body. I have a standing desk. In the middle of my workday, wellness is happening. And also, I love
mm,
taking breaks that like have coffee chats and dates with my peers, my supervisees, and my other leaders and my staff. I love that. Like just connecting with people and letting them know that you're here. Yes, the work has to get done. Yes, I have to send that email and all of that. But also, like, how are you doing? That is important to me because we're in
mm,
purpose work together. So for me, I don't wait till before work or after work, Sophia, to care for myself. It's infused in how I do. And every day is
mm.
going to look a little different because I'm different every
Sure.
day. But there's
Of course.
happening. How do I want to show up? I want to show up nourished. That's my standard every day.
I love it. You are in an academic leadership position right now.
Yeah.
And I am wondering how all that gets infused into your leadership work. We are operating in a lot of asynchronous online spaces, a lot of Teams, a lot of emails, a lot of messages that flow in the ether, but we're not seeing each other's faces as often, right? We're not feeling each other's energy as often. So I'm wondering, how does this work show up for you in the
Yeah.
way you lead? And then also, if you want to talk more about how do you incorporate any of that in your classes if you're teaching synchronously, I would
Yeah.
love to know more about that.
Yeah. So one thing, COVID taught me many things, and I'm very grateful that I was able to continue to do my purpose work in my offerings and then also continue to grow as a human and hold space for others during COVID was you have to know how to bring your essence and move your energy through space and time with technology.
Mhm,
The time before that, I had a client that had a handicap and I was using Skype for her because she couldn't walk anymore. So I had a little bit of understanding about how to work online. And I had already taught online doing BTT technology, but it wasn't like this. It wasn't at this level like after
right.
that I had to really be okay with being seen and showing who I am and allowing myself to open up deeply at a deeper level with other humans and groups online 24/7 and not get mental fatigue, right?
Mhm,
So
mhm,
I think first and foremost, I thought, well, how can I simulate if you go to see me in person? What am I doing? Okay, for me, I turn up my vibration, I project my energy, right? And I co regulate. So if I'm trying to co regulate with people and I'm trying to calm their nervous system, how can I do that online? Well, you're not in front of me, so you can't feel my energy in that way. You're online,
mhm,
other body language, verbal cues I have to do, the tone of my voice, the words that I use. I try to show up differentiated in my spaces so that I can help people co regulate. That could be in a staff meeting, that can be in a leadership meeting. I try to always keep the energy of gratitude and collaboration and just openness. So I bring that harmony with me when I'm on a call. What is happening in the therapist's mind and body is going to be projected into the space. as both
Mm,
as emotional states are infectious. We are in emotional systems. So if I know that, I'm going to practice that, not just in theory, like in practice. So whatever is happening in my mind, like I bring the weather. So that's how I bring that from like a practical sense and how I lead. And also too, I'm going to lead with compassion. If I give you compassion, I'm dismantling shame. If you get an email from me, it's not because you're in trouble. It's because I might be wanting to check up on you. Or if it's an email or something that I have to deliver not so great news, I can still humanize the email, humanize the experience. That's that mindfulness and compassion, so that we
mm.
still get to the work and honor the human in the experience.
I love it. Oh my gosh. My mind is spinning right now with everything you're sharing because I have seen examples of this from you actually throughout the last year that we've been working together. So a lot of this kind of falls in place for me. Tell me more about how you do this in your asynchronous classes with students, because
Yeah,
that's a different kind of energy you're bringing into an asynchronous course, right? You have to do a lot of work to create community and a sense of connection.
yeah,
At least I have found from my
yeah.
experience. It almost takes a lot more work to create that type of space of sharing and community. Tell me more about how this happens for
So I
you.
want to say, for me, again, I identify as a systemic and somatic practitioner, and that's the base of everything I do. That's the well that I drink from. It keeps me sharp. If I'm teaching or supervising or managing this work, I also have to be like in the art and science of this work as well. Because I've had to learn how to build rapport, I've had to learn how to connect, I've had to learn how to hold spaces one to one and one to many in my clinical practice that I'm so grateful to still have. See, so let me just give you some tea about me. Can I get real with you real quick, Sophia?
Sure, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Imposter syndrome does not exist in my world. Let me tell you why. I work really hard. I worked very hard. No one gave me anything. I've had to work to be here. I had to work for my license. I've had to work for my jobs. And if I've worked for something, why would I feel bad when all my hard work, I get the result of my hard work? Why should that surprise me? I'm grateful. I keep growing. So when you deserve stuff, or you work hard for stuff, or stuff is aligned and it comes to you, wasting your brain on imposter syndrome is really wild to me. Of course, I've never
Mm.
been here before. I have to adjust to being here, adjust to being in the thing you prayed for and you worked for versus run to some diagnosis. Let me get off my soapbox. What was the question? What
You're
was
like,
talking
thank you for
about?
coming to my TED Talk. Yeah, I was asking about how you do this with
Yeah,
students in
yeah.
asynchronous courses. Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
so that was an example of me being authentic. So first and foremost,
Yeah.
so I have confidence in my skill set. I don't
Mhm.
have imposter syndrome when I'm approached with new stuff. It makes me grow. I bring to it my wisdom and what I know, and I'm open to what I don't know. And then alchemy happens. I like hanging in the not knowing. So first I'm like, well, how am I going to do this? Then I'm like, oh, just do what you did before, just amplify it. So for me, I grew up watching like Oprah and Sally Jesse, and I grew up watching Montel Williams, Maury Povich, all those people, Ricky Lake. And I'm like, I'm going to be a talk show host one day, which is funny. But I always loved how they drew the crowd. And I'm 8 years old. Why am I watching the shows? I don't know. But I was watching those shows, okay? And they would always make me feel calm, make me laugh, make me feel like I was at home, like I was with a whole bunch of multicultural cousins. And the talk show host was like an aunt or an elder. And I wanted my students to feel like they're coming around the table. It's a big table, and I'm one of their elders, and I'm teaching them stuff. You can come around the table, we can learn together, and then you go back into the world. So that's like the setup in my brain. So when I'm posting, I'm like, it's almost like a newsletter to my family. So whatever I'm
Mm.
teaching, I know my audience. I'm trying to calm their nervous system. I'm trying to give them the information in a way that they can look at it not just critically, but to look at it from a place of practical application, ethics, inclusion in real life. So if
Mm.
I'm talking like that and I'm bringing examples in, it calms their nervous system so they can think, be differentiated, and answer my question. Think everybody, they freak out when something is new. Let things be new so that you can learn. Oh man, learn something new. So if I'm presenting stuff new, because we are in grad school,
Mhm.
so for me, that's the authenticity, the compassion, the co regulation, and being brave enough to be yourself. So bringing in things that are relevant in our clinical world, in the real world, in the MFT world, and try to relate it back to the course materials in my own way. Sometimes I might record guided meditations from,
Oh,
we might
okay.
we might have mindfulness hangouts. So what I'll try to do is I will open and close it with a breath work or a meditation, and then I'll teach them the assignment or whatever the lesson is. And then I'll bring in like, how are we doing? We connect, like, where are you at? So I think for them, pacing them and also co-regulating them, teaching them how to do that within themselves. When they go in the therapy room, they won't be operating out of fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. They'll be responding. They won't be reacting. So
Mm,
modeling the thing I'm trying to teach them to bring with them in therapy. Doesn't matter what model they practice, calming your nervous system is a tool everyone needs to have.
no. I know this. And this rings so true for me. What we do in the classroom in a lot of way mimics what happens in healing and in therapy. How we show up for our students really sends so many messages, yeah? You
Yeah.
spoke already about many of them. Talk to me more about things that you maybe would love to do and you haven't tried yet. Like, I want to hear some of your dreams around somatic practice.
So I have been lacking in the sense of my dissertation that I wrote, that I put my whole heart in, and it's so charged up. I was supposed to turn that into a self help book, an inspiration book for therapists that have clinical experience, my data, and then just like fun anecdotal things and things to help them professionally. That was all that I had wrote that to myself years ago, and then got busy doing all the stuff. That this field is amazing. You can do lots of fun things. This
Mhm.
field is as creative as you make it. Okay, and I've had a great time. And the book keeps calling me. And I'm breaking down my dissertation now as we speak, chapter by chapter, line by line. We'll
Mm.
be getting a copy, so please know that. I think seeing how life is unfolding and seeing, I want to offer something. I want to offer something to therapists during these times that hopefully will live past me, because oftentimes beautiful things are birthed through chaos. So that's what I'm working on. Also, I haven't done my therapist wellness retreats in probably about a year because I've been busy doing other fun stuff. I will be reactivating my therapist wellness groups that are not just for people in Georgia. They are actually international, as long as you are a mental health professional. But there is a super discount when you are MFT, like super, super discount. So please drop that if you are. I miss being with people in person in that way. So that's why
Mhm.
my retreats might be in Sedona. They could be in Georgia, could be in New York. Last time we had it, it was in the Hamptons, and it was really, really nice. Oftentimes,
Fancy.
my retreats are by invite only because I want to keep the sanctity of the space. And we want to make sure that everyone is safe, because, again, they are therapist retreats. People want to have privacy in their identities, and also
Mhm.
made it so sometimes they count as a CE. So when I offer CEs, they're a little secret. They're typically retreat style, full out, or it could be mini retreat. All my CEs are always interactional and expressive and experiential. So that's how, I do it. I like to mix the magic and the mundane.
Mix the magic and the mundane. I love it.
Like if we have to do a CE, which I do
Mhm.
have to, we have to learn. But why can't learning be fun? If learning is fun, people learn better. If people are anxious about it, their brain is not going to process it. So why not just have fun? Don't just teach about stuff that you think is going to make money from it, because no one wants to see that anymore. So please stop. And I will not be a part of it, Sophia. I will not be a part of another boring CE. Learning should be fun. When we were kids, learning was fun. Shoot, college was fun. Grad school was fun. Why is real world so boring? If you teach what you're passionate about, our CEs will be a better place. So let us all contribute to that place. Because I'm not sitting in no
Oh,
boring CE.
mm. Oh, amen. Yeah, louder for the people in the back. I agree with you. I was thinking about something else in preparation for our conversation. We talk so much in our traditional MFT training about skill mastery and connecting your theoretical knowledge with your applied skills. And here we are bringing things like breath work and meditation and somatic practices into the mix, right? The magic into the mundane. Tell me about resistance you may encounter from students or colleagues who see these as soft or like non-essential skills that, oh, that's a side thing. Like we can do that, but we don't have to. And tell me, how do you help people understand that these are essential skills? They're not just add-ons, like nice to have.
Yeah, so I think for me, first and foremost, I know every grad school is different. I know we're all MFTs and we're all systemic, but we know some MFTs practice postmasters therapy. Some people practice the classical models of MFT. And I think they're all great, right? I practice both. But what I'm saying is that the work is the work is the work is the work. We all have to learn the same stuff. I respect my license. I respect your license. I know how hard you had to work to get it, and there's just certain things, competencies that have to be shown. And I get that. And I understand that our therapists, when they leave grad school, have to show proficiency in like dating a model. And I hear that and I'm for that. But also, most graduate students are highly anxious. Most graduate students are managing a lot of life stuff to pursue their dreams.
Mm.
Throwing more information at them without checking in about their mentals or their body or their what's going on, or I'm talking at you but are you present with me, we can get the outcome of making sure that we have people hitting these masteries and such. But we have to check in with how they're doing, again, the person, the therapist. Now I'm grateful that the place of my academic employment really cares about that, and I feel so grateful to work alongside people who do. But also, I'm often challenged about how I practice MFT. And I'm like, okay, let me school you because you don't know the models, but see, I actually do know the models. So solution focused therapy taught me that language creates reality. And Bowen gave me like a blueprint for understanding the emotional system and nervous system reactivity. Satir reminded me that the power of congruence and presence and inner transformation is a part of therapy. Okay. These approaches weren't just academic theories, they reshaped how I show up in the room and also show up in my own life. They also influence how I teach and how I lead. They gave me a framework for integrating embodiment, wellness, not as extras, but as essentials in therapist development. Plus, like I'm my first participant. Like I see how it's affected my life. And I'm reading about it, but no one was putting it
Mm.
together. I put it together. But I also am a yoga teacher. I have an E500 level certification. I'm also a Reiki master. I'm a sound healer. I incorporate these things. I'm also certified in mindfulness and all kinds of stuff like that. But I was doing that before I was an MFT. I was doing that as someone in their 20s enjoying Eastern healing practices. So that was
Mhm.
already in me. Plus, with my spirituality coming from New Orleans and the things that my family taught me about self healing. So that comes through me because it's me. I can't separate it.
Tell me more about when you see resistance from colleagues or students. Tell me about the shift that happens in people when you introduce them to some of these concepts. Maybe there's an example in there or a
Yeah,
story you want
so
to share. Yeah.
I can give you a feeling because I can actually go deep enough and remember our interaction if you want to go there. So when you and I first started working together, first of all, I was a fangirl. So like we interviewed, it was great, and then you got into your position. I remember when I would check on you. I know you heard what I asked you, but I felt like I must have dysregulated you because I wasn't talking to you as if I was your manager. I was talking to you like a colleague, or I was talking to you and not like corporate speak. We're doing this purpose work together. I'm checking on her. Is everything okay? And I remember at first your energy was very closed to me because you were in your business mode. And I understand that I wasn't offended by that. But over time, I saw you get more soft and open and playful. And then you started to come to meetings and you were just more soft and open and playful. And then you revealed how brilliant you were and so on and so forth. So it's that. And I wasn't offended by that. So people don't know how to handle me. I'm a different type of human. I know that. But I think that if I came in mean and aggressive, type A, alpha, whatever, you would expect me to be that way. I don't care what the role is, tequila is going to always be tequila. And I think that me not operating out of like, I'm going to treat people with compassion. So I think for me, I can dance with difference. You don't have to agree what I agree with. You don't have to do any of that, but we can respect each other. And I think because I show up in that type of integrity and balance, people typically lean into me, and I don't have to people please. I don't have to fawn. I don't have to lie about who I am. I don't have to shrink any part of myself,
Mm.
be respected by people because they see the authenticity in me and I invite them to be that in themselves.
Yeah. I'm guessing this happens with students,
Yeah,
supervisees,
yeah,
colleagues,
yeah.
everybody, even maybe your supervisors at
Of course.
work.
I always tell people if you just reveal who you are, the right people are going to get it and see it and meet you there. And then people whose third eye is not open, they're going to keep operating like that. And that's more about how they are operating in their internal world. It has nothing to do with you. So again, being differentiated from a practical sense has allowed me to be able to be in mixed company in different communities and still move in harmony because I understand it's not always about me. But my inner state and how I balance who I am is about me, and I do have dominion over that. And if I can teach from that space, therapists can own their role in therapy, not go over boundaries if they're clear about that. Oh, is that mine or is that theirs?
The more open we are energetically, I think you can also read yourself better. You can capture all the little feelings and intuitions and everything that's coming through you, almost being like a vessel of energy. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love how you said that, Sophia, because I feel like that talking like that, depending on who you're around, people wouldn't. I understand exactly what you're saying, but we weren't taught to bring that into our work. Now,
Mm.
Bowen and Satir talk about that self awareness, what's coming up in the room, right? And
Mm.
again, doesn't matter what your model is. It's good to know these things. There's a lot of therapists who are very naturally intuitive, who are very naturally
Mhm.
tuned, who flow
Mhm.
in the left and right brain, who could pick up on energies. Why are we not talking about that more? Because
Mhm.
if you don't honor that, you're not honoring the fullness of your gift. There's some therapists and they want to do their CBT and they want to logic that brain down. Go ahead, go crazy. If that's how your brain works, great. But there's a lot of people who like to operate in that creative right brain space. And I think that there should be space for that in supervision to talk about that and to be able to ethically grow that. So when I think about starting with the therapist, you cannot not ever not bring the therapist in the therapy room. So the work that I do to me is essential. And I'm
Mm.
hoping to be a part of being able to keep Bowen and Satir's work and the work of solution focus alive, but in a different frame. Because the way that I operate in it, it really is more aligned with somatics and also mindfulness with that systemic underpinning. It's mixed, right? But I think as the
Yeah.
world evolves and we are all working every day to regulate our nervous systems, we have to bring this in for the therapists that we train because they're people too going in and through the world through these things, trying to learn how to hold space. Like, what a gift to give them. Know how to regulate
Mm.
them.
Yeah. Holding space for yourself first, right?
Yeah, keeps the work beautiful.
Yeah, I have so many things I wanted to ask you. I'm trying to sift through stuff here in my mind, but I want to talk a little bit about social justice, cultural responsiveness, and the integration of that with like body awareness, breath work, meditation, mindfulness, all those practices you mentioned and you embrace. Can you talk a little bit more about how developing somatic awareness can make us more culturally responsive?
Absolutely.
Mm.
It's so interesting. I don't know why, Sophia, when you were talking, like something came up to me and it's going to connect to my story. So I'm originally from New Orleans, Louisiana, and my family moved to South Florida when I was young. So I was always between South Florida, Louisiana, and later on the West Coast. And where my parents moved was a beautiful place in South Florida, a very racist place, but a very beautiful place. It was a paradise. I loved where I lived. But when I would walk home from school, this is like in elementary school, I would get bottles thrown at my head. I would be called the N word. I would actually have to physically defend myself from boys, particularly white boys. And then my teachers would try to put me in remedial class. I drew a black Santa. They tore my black Santa up. Had a lot of psychological and physical harm, racist harm growing up. And
Mm.
didn't know how to handle it. I didn't even have words for it. So I remember the simple act of me being able to walk down my street and my nervous system doesn't shut down is freedom. So when I think about the work I had to do as a human to understand why I couldn't walk outside without having a weapon, or I wouldn't even walk outside because I'm afraid someone's going to actually physically hurt me, right? Like I had to, where did that come from? That came from somewhere. But no one witnessed what I went through because I never talked about it because I had shame that I went through it, right?
Mm.
You teach people how to get back into their bodies. That is radical. And being a Black Indigenous woman of color, I'm a Creole woman, being able to feel free in my body and move my body and use my mind and use my voice and honor my ancestors and honor my creativity and honor my offerings, honoring, I understand therapy is regulated and I honor that, but there's other things I do that is medicine that is not regulated that I'm going to also honor. Allowing people to know the freedom of their mind and the freedom of their body to feel and be in their body, to move and use their body the way they want is radical. So all of us have a part to play here in allowing people to stay free. So in teaching people self-healing, I tell people wiggle your toes, fine. Can you feel your, what did you eat for your lunch yesterday? Coming back into their bodies, coming back into their reality allows them to co-create with their reality. So for me, being embodied, if I can think clear, I can make more life-giving decisions.
Say that one more time.
If I'm thinking clear, if I'm making
Mhm.
decisions out of fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, the outcomes are not going to be good. But if I can teach people how to calm their nervous system and balance their thinking and their feeling, they're going to make more life giving decisions.
Wow.
What they
Wow.
want this life to be versus out of fear, 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 for I can't. And there are people, and I send them peace, who still operate like that. And there's people that want to operate in what they want. I see the threat, but what do I want? I see, how do I keep myself safe, but what do I want? There's
Mhm.
freedom. There is a magic in being able to have freedom in your mind and freedom in your body. And most people, especially if you were stolen or raped or taken or whatever, you don't know the freedom you have because oftentimes all that violence and anxiety and injustice, it comes through the nervous system. It's passed through generations. The ancestors bring it through so that we don't forget because we have to fix it. If we don't fix it, it's going to keep coming back. So, in all of us, I feel like we have a purpose on this earth. I know who I am and I know what my purposes are. And that's what I'm going to say about that.
I love it. So this doesn't sound like talk therapy to me. It's something much more than that. Even when I think about Bohemian therapy, I'm thinking about talk therapy, right? I'm thinking about the engagement on the couch and we're sitting down and we're talking.
I studied bowling for a long time and I still study. And I had an amazing mentor. Shout out to Dr. Chris Burnett. I can talk about the emotional system, but I have to also key my clients in and say, where do you feel that disappointment in your body? At some point,
Mm.
you have to bring that in. So when I think about it is talk therapy, it is systemic therapy. I can answer all the questions and talk that talk. But when you're actually in the therapy, talking words, that what are you doing with the words? How are you alchemizing the words? How are you making these models and infusing them with you in them? So if I'm asking people to breathe with me because their nervous system is shot and I'm trying to assess their triangles, I'm doing all of that. And I'm making sure that I'm bringing the body in by just calling it into the therapy. So it is very much so talk therapy mixed with somatic practices. Just depends on the flavor, depends on what they ask and what they consent to. Because in my consents, they can consent, but this is how I practice. If I ask you to wiggle your toes or what, it's all about consent, but they have to consent to that or they just don't work with me.
Okay, that makes sense to me. That's informed consent at its finest. So a typical
Yeah.
class period for you, it's more than talking. It's definitely, are people getting up? Are people like doing things with
Depends.
their bodies?
Depends.
Sometimes it depends.
How to get up in my business like that, Sophia. So there's gonna always be an opening practice. Why I have to bring
Mm.
everybody into one mind. We're gonna come together, we're gonna be together, we're gonna leave work at work, we're gonna leave things outside, and we're gonna come into this vortex that I am facilitating. I own that. I am the curator of these experiences. And then we're gonna soften and we're gonna be open. That's important. You gotta be open. Otherwise it's not gonna work. The information or the things or the ritual, whatever we do is gonna happen. They're gonna learn, we're gonna break, we're gonna nourish, we're gonna learn. I could play my bowls, could be Tibetan singing bowls, could be crystal. I don't know. we're doing something, we're moving the body. Could be some gentle yoga, could be some tapping, more learning, more nourishment. Maybe we have a dance break, maybe we have a chakra dance. We close, you get your CE. And everyone says how great that CE was. And people tend to cry, and people
Mm,
are more connected to themselves and they're more connected
mm.
to the community. And then we meet again in random times.
Oh my gosh. I'm glad we are illuminating this type of learning again, because I think that that's the way we learn when we're young, and then it's just wiped away from us the minute we go to K-12 and we sit down on a desk all day learning. I think to some extent that's that natural tendency to engage with your body and learn. It's almost taken away from us through traditional school mode.
Thank you for saying what I often feel. And thank you for allowing me to know that I'm not alone in this. And also, when I think about tradition, I think you and I are in places and spaces in our life that we get to help shape tradition and what is, and acknowledging the parts of tradition that work and we want to keep sacred, acknowledging of things that need to change. And thank you for calling that into the conversation.
You're welcome. This has been my personal experience, I think, as well, that engaging with my own lived experience of going to school and sitting down on a desk for hours on end and having that experience of losing my innocence or my childhood slowly and going into that very intellectual brain forward space.
There was a version of you that came in that is old and young and new and present. It's so many parts. And then you got to get muscles in your left brain and muscles. And then you come back to a point of balance, like your third eye right here. It's the middle of both. And then you have both because you need to know both. You want to practice out of both. Both are great. You don't want to be in extremes. But I
Mhm.
think that Ranch and I told us, don't let school make you dumb. And I love that he said that. I didn't understand the message that hit me in the spirit. He said, you meant you bring you to this. Don't forget that. Yes, I'm teaching you quantitative research, but also he would always ask us questions. What do we want to do? And I didn't appreciate it. I want to get this grade versus this man is trying to keep me awake while I get
Mm.
socialized to become an MFT, but bring me into it. So I hope that you get back to that in you too, because your creativity, your advocacy, and your power, and you like show through so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I had all phenomenal professors, but he was phenomenal because we have anxiety because we're trying to get the grade in the class. And I'm just like, oh, I'm anxious. I can't hear anything. And I didn't hear him because I was anxious and he kept trying to calm me
Mm.
down. And we didn't trust that. We're like, why is he so nice? And why does he have popcorn and Twizzlers here and coffee for us? And why is he trying to have these collegial conversations? I don't know. I'm trying to get this doctorate. We all missed it until the
Mm.
very end and we got it. And I'm like, oh man, I'm never going to miss an opportunity to engage with a professor like that again because he was trying to teach us something else bigger than the lesson. I had just amazing creative people teach me too in that way.
Shout out. Yeah, shout out to Nova. Yeah, that's
The
an
old,
amazing,
Nova,
amazing
the
program.
old Nova.
The old Nova. Yeah, 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 yeah. 15 years ago or whenever that was. I want to say a very big thank you from a place of deep gratitude for sharing this space with me, Tequila. Thank you for sharing your experiences and your expertise and your wisdom with us. I know you're going to continue having an amazing impact on teaching and learning in our field. I hope that this felt like a warm cup of tea to our fellow educators and listeners. Tell me about how can listeners interested in your work reach out to you, Tequila?
Yeah, so they can go to my website, drtequila.net. I'm probably the only Dr. Tequila who's an MFT, so I should be very
Mm.
easy to find. And whatever's on there, float your boat, click clack. If not, thank you for visiting. But I'm going to be releasing some really fun things that I've been inspired to do. So those things will be coming soon. And I'm really grateful that we got to connect, Sophia. It actually felt like a cup of cacao
Ooh, oh my
with
gosh. Say no more. I'm a chocolate fan.
like a cup of cacao and a warm hug. So thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, everyone. Please stay tuned. Be sure to follow our Learning and Teaching Systemic Therapy podcast episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts. We have episodes coming up every month. Stay tuned. Thank you for joining us today. This is Dr. Sofia Georgiadou signing off for Learning and Teaching Systemic Therapy.